welcome to another week of Rhymes and Reasons. We just had some of the cast of StoryBook Theater's Seussical the Musical come in today for Storytime. We did a Storytime for all ages. It was musical and loud, and we had babies and toddlers and preschoolers, and it was crazy and so much fun. And it got me thinking while we were doing the program that we have never done a Rhymes and Reasons on Dr. Seuss books before, on some of the developmental reasons why Dr. Seuss books have kind of persisted in the cultural zeitgeist the way that they have, and why so many programs and teachers and speech language pathologists and occupational therapists use Dr. Seuss books in their programming. So I thought I'd break it down a little bit today. Here's a little preview of what the program looked like today.
So Horton stopped splashing. He looked toward the sound. "That's funny," thought Horton. "There's no one around." Then he heard it again, just a very faint yelp, as if some tiny person were calling for help. "I'll help you," said Horton. "But who are you? Where?" He looked and he looked. He could see nothing there but a small speck of dust blowing past through the air.
"I say," murmured Horton, "I've never heard tell of a small speck of dust that is able to yell. So you know what I think? Why, I think that there must be someone on top of that small speck of dust. Some sort of creature of very small size, too small to be seen by elephant eyes.
Some poor little person who's shaking with fear that he'll blow in the pool he has no way to steer. I'll just have to save him, because after all, a person's a person, no matter how small."
We had so much fun. It was such a riot. So thank you to Maisie LeBird and Marie the Bird for coming out today and sharing those stories with us. And thank you to StoryBook Theatre for allowing us to have the cast here for this program. All of the proceeds from class today will be donated to the Ellie Timms Project, so we're really excited to send that their way. So we're talking about Dr. Seuss. Why has Dr. Seuss had the lasting power that it has? And there's a few reasons. As we were saying in class today, part of the reason is that the writing is just so alliterative, and there's so much assonance and there's so much rhyming, and that is a really useful tool for language acquisition when we're learning to read and to speak. Alliteration is when the first part of a word starts the same as several other words in that sentence so that we can hear that sound repeated over and over and over again. Assonance is when there's a part of the word, maybe it's in the middle or the end, that sounds very similar to another word. Again, that's kind of a predictive speech element. So we can begin to hear repeated sounds or diphthongs or phonemes throughout the use of a word. And rhyming, when we can hear these sounds repeated, or we know a word in our head, hear a word that sounds with it, and we're able to predict what word might come next, allows our children to feel really successful in their language attempts. They're able to rhyme things with a part of the story or to take cues from the pictures, and it makes them feel like they're actually reading, like, oh, I'm so successful, I'm so smart, I was able to figure this out. So it's really, really helpful for that. The constant repetition in a Dr. Seuss book is very similar to that. You have threads that are repeated constantly throughout a story. A person's a person, no matter how small. And then kids are able to fill in that call and response as they're reading, and again, feel very, very successful. So these books have some speech and some language devices that allow us to use them in a classroom, but they're also just really fun and zany. Dr. Seuss books have these illustrations and these characters that are just larger than life, and they're ridiculous. They're so fun to read about. And kids love that. You know, these characters that just blow our minds with the things that they bring to the world. So we love reading about those kinds of characters. And the illustrations, too, with the black and white and the minimalistic colors, are quite different from a lot of books that kids read today that are in full color, that the illustrations fill the entirety of a page. These kind of sketch images just look different, and that's an appealing visual cue for these guys. We were also talking today with the participants in our program how interesting a Dr. Seuss book feels to be read aloud or to be shared one-on-one in this day and age. Dr. Seuss books tend to be quite long. A typical illustrated child's book nowadays is about 32 pages long, and some Dr. Seuss books are like 50 pages and up. The stories are so much longer and contain so much more text on a page that they can seem like plodding and very difficult for us to get through. But it's really important for our kids to have access to books that are longer and have a longer story arc and a bigger character trajectory, because not everything in our world is as instant gratification as we would like it to believe. Now, a lot of things in the world that our kids will be growing up in is that way. Things happen so quickly and they swipe and it's immediately interactive with us, and they work the way that kids' brains want things to respond to them, instant feedback. But not everything in life is that way. So it's important for our kids to develop patience, to delay their gratification, to sustain an attention span over a longer period of time. So longer books can help us to do that. And books like Dr. Seuss books are a great way to start that. Anyways, we were so excited to have the cast of Seussical the Musical come out and join us today. Thank you to the cast that came out for Storytime. Thank you to Storybook Theatre for sponsoring them here at the space today. And thank you to all of the participants who came and enjoyed the Storytime with us. We had so much fun. We look forward to seeing you guys again in the future at other programs that are kind of geared around things like this. And let us know if you have any feedback around that, a book that you would like to hear read, a program idea that you have. We're flexible on that, especially heading into the summer when our regular programming kind of drops off and we're looking for some interesting new things to do. So let us know, and we'll see you next time on Rhymes and Reasons. Bye, guys.